That's what you call standing on business right there. Oh, makes contact, devastating shot. This dude is about to leave his feet. He is stunned. He is petrified. He's ragdolled him. Flapjack, pancake, it's a wrap. This dude wears a neck roll, guys. So this guy is about business on the field. When was the last time you seen a guy wear a neck roll? Midwest corn-fed type of offensive lineman that just is about his business. Oh my gosh. This dude, he looked like he got hit by a train. Getting crushed by a building is exactly what we're talking about right here. That is a pancake action, the best I've seen so far out of all these prospects. This guy is a ragdoller, a manhandler, a bully. More manhandling, more flapjack action, more short stacking. Let's check those. Boom. That man has left his feet. I don't know if you can see it because he's in white and they're in the snow. Dude's feet is in the air. He looks like, Uncle Phil throwing Jazzy Jeff out of the building right now. Yo, it's your boy, Big Mike Raider, and we're here for day 23 of the 30 days, 30 prospects. Guys, we're wrapping this thing up. We're getting into the sleeper portion of this series, 23 to 30. We're looking at rounds 5 through 7. Today, we're going to be talking about Donnell Fortune from South Carolina. An impressive corner. He kind of made his name for himself at the Shrine Bowl, winning the MVP. But before that, his college career, his 2 years as a starter, he did some amazing things in the SEC. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about his PFF grade in 2024. We're going to talk about strengths and weaknesses. We're going to talk about draft placement. I like him in the 5th round. Some people like him a little bit later. I think he'd be a good fit for what we're trying to do. Defensively, he could be more of a rotational guy, but we'll get more into it. But before we get into anything, man, you guys already know the deal. Like the thumb, hit the sub, and share with your folks. Big Mike Raider. Let's talk about it, man. Donnell Fortune from South Carolina. South Carolina had a lot of defensive dogs on that team. It's amazing that they, weren't one of the top teams in the SEC. Probably winning the SEC because the amount of talent that is coming out of South Carolina is amazing. We talked about our guy Kyle Kennard already. There's guys that maybe could have made the list. We're talking about Imawari. We're talking about a Tonka Hemingway. We're talking about the linebacker over there who's a 2nd-round prospect. There's a bunch of talent on this South Carolina team, and one of the guys that was there from day one is Donnell Fortune, but we're going to talk about the strengths and weaknesses. Shout out to NFL draftbuzz.com. Excels in zone coverage with exceptional pattern recognition and spatial awareness, consistently maintaining proper leverage while reading quarterback intentions through the route development. So he's going to fit in perfectly. We're trying to do zone wise, right? You can even put him in off man coverage. You can put him in quarters. He's very smart and savvy when it comes to that as a corner. He could do he's very versatile when it comes to that. Let's continue. Natural ball skills pop in big moments, from his 100-yard pick 6 against Notre Dame to his game sealing plays at the Shrine Bowl. Consistently shows up when the stakes are highest, and that's exactly what you want, a guy that brings a fork when it's time to eat. When it counts the most, he makes the play. And that goes a lot. A lot of people, don't have that same ability. Sometimes we take that for granted. Somebody that can show up when the pressure is on. He's that type of corner that can do that. Let's continue. Show advanced route recognition and zone drops, particularly against complex route combinations, allowing him to maintain position while tracking multiple receivers through his zone. So IQ, we're talking about IQ. We're talking about studying, getting in film, knowing what kind of routes receivers want to run. And I can see him sharpening his skills at the pro level doing that. Film is key at the professional level. I mean, even more so at the professional level. But if you're going to be at this level, or at least get to this level, you got to have some kind of film study background a guy that's not scared to get in the lab, and he seems like that type of guy, right? Brings serious juice as a pattern matcher in quarters coverage, displaying fluid hip transitions and exceptional closing bursts when breaking on underneath routes. So he'll get there as soon as he sees that ball in the air. He's getting there. He recognizes what's going on. He's keeping his eye on the quarterback. He's looking at the same time what kind of routes these wide receivers want to run, and he's breaking to the ball as quickly as possible. This guy's very smart, very savvy. This demonstrates elite competitive toughness in contested catch situations. Showed up repeatedly at Shrine Bowl practices, winning most of his one-on-one matchups. A scrappy individual, guy who's fighting for it, right? It's a guy who is a 5th to 7th round prospect projection. And, you know, his Shrine Bowl outing really shows that he really wants this thing, right? You know, people weren't talking about him as much before this, but after that Shrine Bowl outing, people are starting to keep their eyes out on him, and that's why he made my list. Quick processor against screen games and run action, rapidly diagnosing plays and triggering downhill with conviction to disrupt blocking schemes. So yeah, this guy, you know, like I said, it's IQ. We're talking about IQ, right? Versatility shows up in coverage. Can match up in the slot, play outside corner, or roll down into robber coverage as demonstrated throughout Senior Bowl week. So he's showing some versatility, right? He's showing that he could play, you know, say we get into a dime coverage when we only have one linebacker out there. We have like 6 DBs out there in that type of situation. You can even put him out as nickel. Maybe he develops into a nickel guy when it's all said and done, right? Similar to what Nate Hobbs did in the 5th round. You can see him doing something like that. This guy's versatile. He can move around and do a lot of things. Shows consistent improvement year over year. Development curve from special teamer to Shrine Bowl MVP suggests his best football is still ahead. Kind of a late bloomer, right? He started his last 2 years in college, and this year it was his best year. And then it seems like he's still working on that craft and getting better and better and better. And you got to strike when the iron's hot. If you can get this guy in a steal in the 5th, 6th, or even 7th round, it would be an absolute steal because of his trajectory and his ability to play corner. He seems to be working on it. He seems to be in the lab. He's doing things that's going to solidify him to be a pro in this league. And I like those type of players who is not relying heavily just on reputation, relying heavily on, you know, a 5-star status, relying heavily on, you know, well, you know, I did this in 23. So, you know, my stock is, you know, I got my stock where it is. No, this guy is still working, constantly working, and really scratching and clawing to get where he needs to be. But those are some of the strengths. We got to talk about some of the weaknesses. There are some weaknesses. There is a reason why he's a 5th to 7th round. Some people even have him as a UDFA. I think he's going to get drafted. I think he's an amazing prospect. Let's talk about some of the weaknesses. Lean frame raises concerns about durability and ability to consistently tackle bigger backs and run support. Needs to add functional strength without sacrificing flexibility. So got to get in the lab as far as the weight, the strength and conditioning. We got to get him in there, right? And we're going to see if he really wants it. If you pick him up in the 5th to 7th round, he's going to be fighting for a 53-man spot. So is he going to be showing up early? Is he going to take conditioning early? Seriously, is he going to take strength and conditioning? You know, is he going to take that as a priority? He's going to be in the lab, right? Is he going to, you know, change his mentality as far as being a tackler and stopping the run? Not a great run stopper, right? A lot of corners aren't, but you want to see him improve in that sort of way, right? He's a 6'1", 185 pounds, kind of small. You kind of want to see him get to probably about 190, 195. And then now we're talking business in that situation. I think he can do it just by simply where he's gone from this point and where he is right now. He's definitely working on his craft. It seems like he's definitely scratching and clawing. So I believe that he can get there, right? Tackling technique becomes inconsistent when faced with powerful runners in space, tends to dive at legs rather than wrapping up properly. I mean, show me a corner that's going to go head up with a lot of these running backs, and I'll show you a safety. I'll be honest with you, man. a lot of these corners, they do go for the legs, man. They're a little bit lighter. They don't really take the tackling. I'm not saying not seriously, but there's very few, even even in the league, who aren't going to go head up with somebody and really just lay a hat. They're going for the ankles, they're going for low tackles and things like that. And you see a lot of times, these running backs, tight ends make highlight reels out of those kind of corners, right? Because they're jumping over them, hurtling over them. So it's not really a big deal for me. It's up to you if you guys think it is, but I don't think that's a big deal, right? Can get caught peeking in the backfield against play action, occasionally allowing receivers to get vertical leverage before recovering. So we gotta, that's more lab stuff. That's more film stuff. You gotta do your assignment no matter what. I know you want to make a play, but you can't fall asleep looking in the backfield trying to make a play. You gotta follow your assignment. So that comes with some repetition. That comes with being disciplined and owning that craft, right? Sharpening those skills, sharpening that knife, basically, right? Struggles to disengage from stock blocks on the perimeter. Bigger receivers can lock him up and drive him out of running plays. So strength and conditioning once again, guys, and he's going to have to work on some shedding, using his hands, getting a lot stronger. We got to get him there, right? But we're talking about a 5th to 7th round guy who's going to be a cornerback 4, a cornerback 3, a guy who's going to be in rotation, not a guy who is going to be a starter. Now, if he works on all these things, he has a potential to get up there just by the things that he does, all the great things that he does. So it's going to take some time. It's going to take some development, but it's going to be solely on him to get there, right? This is a 5th to 7th round guy who's going to be fighting for a 53-man roster spot. Press technique needs refinement, occasionally opens hips up too early against release moves, creating easy access to inside breaking routes. So, you definitely, in those situations, you're going to try to mitigate that, try to prevent him from being in those press situations. You want him being in off-man coverage, quarters coverage, things like that. And in the situation where he's in press, you want to sprinkle it in. You don't want to be in press every single play. You don't want to expose him in that sort of manner. But you work on that at practice. You show that you have improved in it. And, that's just the name of the game when it comes down to you getting the training camp and things like that. And it's time to work. So let me know what you guys think about it, the strengths and weaknesses from old Donnell Fortune. How do you feel about getting him in the 5th round? 5th round, I like it. 6th round possibility, I love it. 7th round, I absolutely love it. I think he's going to be getting picked up in the 5th or 6th round. I don't think he's going to go all the way to 7. I think he has a lot of things that he brings to the table, a lot of tangibles that a lot of these pro teams will like. And I think he's going to get picked within in the 5th or 6th round. But you guys let me know how you feel about him. So let's talk about some of the PFF grades for O'Donnell Fortune. Just to kind of solidify and crystallize what he's been doing in 2024, what he's done in 2024. He had a breakout season. He had an 86 PFF grade. Overall PFF grade in 2024 with South Carolina. Passer rating when targeted a 61.4, excellent, right? Coverage grade 90.2, one of the best in all of college. And this is impressive coming from the SEC, where week after week after week you're seeing an elite wide receiver, or at least a formidable wide receiver, and him being the number 1 corner on that team, seeing the best, going best on best, him holding it down and putting up good numbers. That is impressive, right? Run defense grade, leaves a little bit to be desired. He has a 54 run defense grade, so we got to work on that, right? Like I said, man coverage grade 79.5, pretty good, amongst the top percentage-wise, percentile-wise, probably at the 90th percentile, something like that, on the chart as far as all of the pooled players that were graded PFF-wise, 79.5, right? Zone coverage grade 87.5, so even better. A guy that you can rely on in the zone, right? And I think that'll be a good fit for him to be that zone corner, rotational guy. I think that's where his bread will be buttered. Let's talk about grades by game. His best game was amongst the best games he had was Old Dominion, 82.3. He had a few games that where he was in the 60s, which is not bad considering that, you're in the SEC. 67.2 against Kentucky, 61.7 against LSU, 88.5 against Alabama. So he had one of his better games in his career against one of the better teams in all of college football. So, he's definitely one of those guys that when it counts, he's bringing it, he's doing what he can, and it seems like he's continuing to scratch and claw to get what he wants, and that's a spot in the NFL. But those are some of the PFF grades. Let me know what you think about that. Hopefully, I'm convincing you that this is a guy that we need to take a flyer on as far as being a sleeper in this NFL draft. But let's talk about draft placement. Shout out to NFLDraftBuzz.com. We're going to get back to it. Overall rank 199.8. So we're looking at the 6th round kind of deal. Almost into that 7th round. So it varies. A lot of people, a lot of people have him 5th round grade, or some people have him a 6th, some people have him late 7th or a UDFA, right? NFL Draft Buzz has him going 152nd overall in the 5th round. PFF has him going 171. NFL.com has him going 181. You're looking almost into the 6th round in that situation. And then ESPN has him at 241 on the back end of that 7th round, just making the cut as far as being drafted. And then MDDB has him going 254. I think that might be even Mr. Irrelevant in that situation. But you guys let me know where you would pick him. 5th, 6th round is where I like him. 5th round sounds good to me. I think we could take a flyer on him just based on what he brings to the table, his mentality. And it seems like he's playing his best football now, rather than, having, this long sustained resume and, you kind of see a small decline, or he's not as good as the year before, things like that. We're seeing his best football now. So I'm willing to take a flyer in the 5th or 6th round, but you guys let me know. But guys, that is the full analysis of Donnell Fortune, and let's get into the film. You're looking for a late round sleeper with solid size, experience, and ball skills. South Carolina's Donnell Fortune fits the mold. The 6'1", 185-pound cornerback has been a steady presence in the Gamecock secondary over multiple seasons, totaling 107 tackles, 7 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, and 14 pass breakups in his college career. With SEC experience and a long frame, Fortune projects as a developmental.
Is in the backfield. They'll pump fake and they want to throw it down the middle.
Rotational upside.
The Gamecocks have got it.
There you go. You see it right there, man. He takes one to the house.
20 with some blocker.
Against Notre Dame, ties the game up at 38. Those are the special things that he does right there. There you go. You see it. Let's continue with the breakdown. Fortune's primary strengths begin with his length and physicality. He uses his frame effectively at the line of scrimmage and is at his best when playing press or zone coverage. He reads the quarterback well and shows good timing when breaking on the ball, leading to several big-time pass breakups. He's also a willing tackler and run support and doesn't shy away from contact, an underrated trait in day 3 corner prospects. That said, Fortune is not without limitations. His change of direction quickness and recovery speed are average, what can be exposed by shiftier receivers in man coverage. For the Las Vegas Raiders, Fortune would be an ideal 5th-round selection who brings both physical traits and special teams potential. He could provide immediate depth on the outside behind veterans while contributing in kickoff and punt coverage, something the Raiders would have emphasized under the new regime. His size and experience will make him a strong matchup against bigger receivers in red zone or short yardage packages. So, guys, that is Donnell Fortune in a nutshell right there. You see what he does. He's there, Johnny on the spot a lot of the times. You guys let me know what you think about him. He is a rotational guy, a guy that can be a cornerback 3, cornerback 4, fighting for a spot on the 53-man roster. I think he would be a good fit with what we're trying to do in Las Vegas. But you guys let me know. But, guys, that is day 23 of the 30 Days, 30 Prospects. And I'll see you guys on the next one. But before we go anywhere, you guys already know what to do. Like the thumb, hit the sub, and share with your folks. Big Mike Raider. That's what you call standing on business right there. Oh, makes contact. Devastating shot. This dude is about to leave his feet. He is stunned. He is petrified. Ragdolled him. Flapjack, pancake, it's a wrap. This dude wears a neck roll, guys. So this guy is about business on the field. When was the last time you seen a guy wear a neck roll? Midwest corn-fed type of offensive lineman that just is about his business. Oh my gosh. This dude, he look like he got hit by a train. Getting crushed by a building is exactly what we're talking about right here. That is a pancake action, the best I've seen so far out of all these prospects. This guy is a ragdoller, a manhandler, a bully. More manhandling, more flapjack action, more short stacking. Let's check over. Boom. That man has left his feet. I don't know if you can see it because he's in white and they're in the snow. Dude's feet is in the air. He looks like, Uncle Phil throwing Jazzy Jeff out of the building right now.